Welcome back to the channel. RacerX here, and today we're going to be talking about my Hellion Twin Turbo Mustang. And I've actually just gone over 40,000 miles on this kit. I've been daily driving this car. Well, today I'm going to give you my thoughts on, is the kit worth it? Do I like it? All sorts of good stuff we'll talk about today, the pros and the cons. It's all going to be here in today's video. If you're brand new to my channel, please do me a big gigantic favor. Hit that subscribe button. I really do need you guys to subscribe. If you watch my content and you like it, it would really help the channel. And off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
So for those of you that have been following my channel for a while, you realize that yes, I had my Hellcat 1000+ horsepower. I started my channel with that car. You guys actually never got to see the build of that car because I started my channel after I did all the build, but you did get to see a lot of drag racing footage and a lot of other content on that car. Of course, I had the Scat Pack as well, a lot of content on that car. I even had a little Subaru WRX STI for a little while, and while it was fun, I didn't do a whole lot of content on that car. Also, I did have a blue Mustang GT, and that's actually why I went with Mustang GT, is because I feel like this particular platform works really well with twin turbos. Hellion came on as a sponsor, so that's the whole reason I went over to the Mustang platform. I mean, these Coyotes just really do like boost versus the Hemis, especially the NA Hemis. They don't really like a lot of boost being thrown at them, but this car can comfortably handle 10-12 pounds of boost, and it makes an absolute ton of power with Hellion's twin turbo system on it. So do I actually like the system? Does it work for me? I mean, I've been dailying this car now for like over a year and a half, put 40,000 miles on this kit. So let's first talk a little bit about what I don't like. So take a quick look at this car, and it really does look like a bone stock Mustang GT. Well, it was designed that way. This is a Hellion sleeper kit, meaning the turbos are mounted underneath the car and not up here. Now, they do actually have a kit that does that as well. Hellion definitely wanted me to showcase the sleeper kit, and of course the guys over at Gearheads Performance in Mansfield, they did the install on this, and they did a lot of extra stuff to hide this kit even more, and you literally can't tell there's anything going on. I mean, the intake tube runs right in through here, and the fuel system's all hidden, that triple pump fuel system from Ford. And a car that normally makes 420, we'll say, on a dyno jet, this car makes right at 900 at less than 12 pounds of boost. It is insane what this car can do. But as you look at the side of it, you will see how low it sits. And because these turbos are undermounted, well, that means I have problems clearing things like speed bumps. And I'm constantly looking for kind of bumps in the road. I can't tell you how many times I've kind of scraped something, a steep driveway, anything like that. Those turbos under there, they tend to get a little caught up. I've had wires get pinched in the past, and it's just, it can be a little bit problematic, but for the most part, I really like it. And of course, that's even with these tires on it. The car sits even lower on the drag pack. And because those turbos are undermounted, when you're in stop and go traffic, they tend to kind of get, well, they get hot, right? And when they get hot, they cause the transmission to heat up just a little bit, which causes the car to shift just a little bit rough. I've noticed that it pretty much only happens in stop and go traffic, where you're just sitting endlessly in, say, Dallas traffic or Tampa traffic or wherever you may live. And when you get in one of those traffic jams, you will see the transmission just get a little bit warm, and it causes this car to really shift a little bit abruptly. And that's just something I've noticed about it. Of course, there is a bonus when you have undermounted turbos, because under normal driving conditions, the air passes under the car and actually helps to cool those turbos down. So normal driving conditions, the undermounts are great, and stop and go, not so much. Now, one other little drawback that I will mention is kind of the cost of the system. And yeah, you can stick a supercharger on your car. I mean, pay the $7,000 or whatever, then you got to do the install. Sometimes you got to do a little bit with injectors if you want to go to E85. Of course, this particular car, big fuel system, it's got all the lines replaced on fully 85, electronic boost controller to turn the power up and down, all of the goodies. I wanted to be able to turn this car up later, so I kind of put all of the components in place to be able to say, hey, look, later I'll throw a short block at it. we'll take the trans out and maybe we'll put a more robust trans in there, and then all of a sudden we can really turn the power up on this, and I'll have all the fuel system and turbo that I need. That was my thought in doing this. But this particular setup with the drive shaft, the axles, all the other stuff, the lockout kit, and all the goodies I've got on it, and then to put the labor in and all that kind of stuff, and it does take a little bit of labor to get these twin turbo kits put in and do it exactly right, guys. It is a little bit more labor intensive than a supercharger. I will put it out there, and it just depends on how big a kit you go, guys. I mean, that's just part of it, but this kit would probably, to replicate it, would probably be about $30,000 all said and done. But remember, this makes a lot of power, and it just really depends on how far up you want to go. But you could call up Hellion and get like basically a base turbo kit. Twin 64s on this are bigger than the base ones, guys, and you could just not go crazy with the fuel system, keep it on 93, still make good power, and be out the door for maybe slightly more than a supercharger with maybe a little bit more labor. But there are some inherent advantages to turbos, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. Now, I will make quick mention of this because I know it's going to come up in the comments, but it's, hey, look, why do you keep those little bitty baby tires on that monster that makes all that power? Well, truth is, I used to run around on my drag pack all the time, but it just wore those things completely out. I actually tried going to a 20-inch wheel with a 555 R2 on the back of this, and unfortunately, I was having terrible rubbing issues, and I was still trying to sort out kind of what the deal was with that, but I was having terrible issues with it rubbing the fender right here, and it wasn't working out. So the drag pack, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to rub, but you do not want to drive that in the rain. And as much as it rains here, I never know when it's going to rain. I usually end up running around on these little baby tires, which means I have to turn the power all the way down, and that still doesn't really get the job done. Now, I could put like a 305 street tire back here, but I promise you guys, I've actually run 305 street tires on this as well. It makes literally no difference at this power level. The car still spins like crazy, whether it's on these. I mean, if it's a street tire, guys, it spins, and that is just one of those things I've had to deal with a car that makes this much power. But that's not so much a function of the Mustang or the turbo kit. I mean, the turbo kit is working great. I mean, it would be the same thing with a GT 500 or a Hellcat or anything like that. It's just something I've kind of had to work with. Anybody that's ever built a car like this will tell you that it doesn't come without just a few growing pains, and this one was no exception. I mean, the tune, for example, the guys over at Palm Beach Dyno, while they sent in a pretty good base tune, there were some revisions that had to take place, a lot of file swapping and stuff to make sure that we had the right tune loaded in this car. Every car is just a little bit different, and like when it comes to drag racing, for example, this particular car, for some reason, if it's under a half tank of fuel, it tends to bog. It kind of just hops around, and it's not happy under a half tank of fuel because the fuel tends to slosh around, and it's a saddle tank in this car. So come to find out, if you don't have a half tank of fuel, that happens. And so live and learn. It's all just about trial and error with this kind of stuff. And then of course at the drag strip, come to find out, the 60-foot in this car was brutally slow because you're not leaving under any boost. It's basically the same as a normal stock Mustang GT, and because you're dealing with less displacement, well, it doesn't 60-foot, say, like a Scat Pack would. So, you know, you still have that, but you can activate the two-step and do some other things. I actually have something coming for this car that will make it faster in the 60-foot, and that should help out things. But yeah, I mean, that's just par for the course with a car like this. Now, I have also loaded up a couple other videos where I've had issues with the car, but it was never really the fault of the turbo system on the car. It's just from making power. For example, I had a bolt that broke in the back that actually connected the drive shaft to the hub back there, and that was just a weak point in the system. It had nothing to do with the twin turbo kit, and I think I had a little bit of a wiring issue at one point, but once again, that really wasn't the turbo kit. It was just something that had gotten moved and got hot. And so the turbo kit on this car has actually been fantastic. 40,000 miles, and this turbo kit has basically worked absolutely flawlessly. And I absolutely love the fact that I can go in and just dial up as much power or as little power as I want with this e-boost controller that is literally plugged in right here. A push of a button and you gain 150 horsepower, another push, another 100, and it just depends on how you have the thing set up. I could literally turn this car up to, you know, 15, 18 pounds and just kind of hope it holds together. Stock motor, stock trans, it's not a good idea. So I've kind of got the car turned down for now, but it still makes an insane amount of power, and it has been unbelievably reliable, this car. And I just no qualms. I mean, I wanted to show what a Hellion kit could do if you daily drove the thing, making this kind of power. And this car has been fantastic. This is literally the only car I own at this point in time. And the car has done a great job, and all that power on tap, and yet it's been so incredibly reliable. Now, one thing I absolutely love about this kit is just how efficient it is. And truth be told, turbos are just a more efficient way to make power than superchargers are. And while I love superchargers, they do have their drawbacks. For example, with some superchargers, you're going to get belt slippage and stuff like that. I mean, everything's being run off of a belt, whereas turbos are run off of your exhaust gases. And yes, maybe there's a little bit of a delay in where the power comes in, and this car is no exception. But when the power comes in, it is absolutely insane. And these turbos make 41 horsepower per pound of boost. So do the math on that. And that's just a number that superchargers can't even come close to sniffing. And it's just amazing what they can do in terms of just reliability, all that good stuff. And yeah, they do create a little bit of heat. Some people will say, well, that's kind of a drawback. But both do, right? I mean, superchargers create a lot of heat as well. And as long as you have the right intercoolers on these cars, they do tend to work really, really well. Now, something else I absolutely love about this car is the sound that it makes. And yeah, I mean, you can hear the turbos when they're top mounted like that, or when they're undermounted, they're basically right under your feet, but you kind of get this crazy visceral sound. I mean, a supercharger sounds really cool too. It's that Banshee style whine. These things sound entirely different. This thing literally sounds kind of like a jet engine trying to take off. Even when it's just starting to boost, you can hear them under there just making all sorts of crazy, really neat sounds. And then sometimes you can actually hear the pressure being blown off by the wastegate, and it's just a really neat visceral driving experience that this twin turbo car has to offer. So I really do like that. Now, I've actually talked about this in the past, but my car is pretty loud on the inside, and it makes a lot of crazy, like, squeak, creaky type noises. You might be able to hear it. I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not, but yeah, it's pretty loud in here. But the truth is, it has nothing to do with the twin turbo kit, other than when I'm really under boost and stuff, and you can hear the turbos down there making all sorts of really cool noises. But that squeaky stuff, that's because I have a lockout kit on the back of this car. I've got Viking shocks on the car. I mean, a lot of the stuff that's on this car is really made for drag racing. And while I've tried to do all sorts of stuff to try and get that lockout kits and try and get those bushings and everything quieted down back there, nothing seems to work. So it's just kind of squeaky, noisy in here, you know, race car problems, right? But like I said, it has nothing to do with the turbo kit itself. That's just part of something that makes this kind of power. Now, one other quick thing I will say about this car and learning to drive it, all that sort of stuff, is the way that it makes power is so different than it is in a Mopar. You know, you really have to get the car in the RPM band to try and get the most out of a kit like this. Like when I called Hellion and I said, look, man, I'm really not getting a lot of boost right away. And he said, well, what, you know, when you're roll racing and stuff, I mean, what RPM are you leaving at? And I'm like, hey, look, you know, 4,500. And that's what I was kind of used to. He said, no, not at all. He said, you need to get that thing wound up to like 6,000 RPM and then just let it eat. And he was absolutely right. There's almost no lag at all when you let this thing really get up in the RPM band. And that's the way these Coyotes are. I mean, they really like to breathe up top. And so in order to get the most out of the twin turbo kit, you really just have to wind this thing out. And the way this is tuned, I mean, it won't shift to like 7,700 RPM in like sixth gear. I mean, it really winds out. So you got to give it a chance to kind of spool up, and then the power comes on really hard and fast. But it just takes a little getting used to. I just want to do a little downshift. The baby tires on the car, but you can just listen to it. Oh, here comes the power. Yeah, we better slow it down. This thing is a wild machine, and it puts a huge smile on your face. It is a smile factory. Now, here's something else to ponder that I think is pretty cool. And even though this particular kit has upgraded turbos, they're not gigantic, right? I mean, 64 millimeter turbos, that's a nice size turbo, but it's not crazy. And that allows this thing to actually spool up quite fast, but still can make a ton of peak horsepower. These turbos at maybe 27, 28 pounds, which they have no problem making that, I would hazard to guess could make 1,300 or more rear wheel horsepower without batting an eye. That is a lot of power, and it is a lot harder for a supercharger to achieve that kind of power. Of course, you see cars do it. I mean, you got to have big displacement and some other things going for it, but it is harder to get that kind of a number out of a supercharged car. So, like I said, it's all about that efficiency. And here's a little stretch right here. I might as well just do it again. Boy, this car sounds good. Here comes the power. Wow. if the camera's really picking up the sound of the turbos, because there's kind of a lot going on in here. I mean, I can hear these things just whistling. Man, they sound good. I don't know if you guys can hear them, but man, I love the sound this car makes. Now here is an opportunity for me to demonstrate the downside. I'm trying to go over speed bumps right now, and I am going unbelievably slow. Yeah, I can still feel them rubbing down there. It's always brutal going over speed bumps in this car. Like I said, that's kind of one of the few drawbacks of this, but here's another one. It's a whole field of these speed bumps. Take me 10 minutes to get through this parking lot. Now, I know some people are going to ask about this, and I will go ahead and mention it. Yes, this car is on full E85, as you would expect with those big fuel pumps and, of course, the 1300cc injectors, all that good stuff. I mean, it has to have that stuff to make this kind of power. Do I get good mileage? And the answer is no. That is a big drawback of this. Unfortunately, because I make such big power, you know, it really hurts the fuel mileage in this car. I don't know exactly what it is, because I just don't care to look. I try not to even look at how much fuel I go through in this, but I know if I get below a quarter tank, that means the tank is basically empty because those fuel pumps are so big. And yeah, I fill up this car a lot, but that's just part of driving a big power E85 car. It wouldn't be any different if I was driving, you know, when I drove the Hellcat on E85 and all that kind of stuff. I mean, those cars just drink fuel, and this car does drink fuel. So as far as a daily driver, it is not ideal from that aspect. So other than going through a lot of fuel, would I recommend a Hellion Twin Turbo kit? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Hell yes.
100% all day long. I love the way that this car drives and makes power. Yes, you don't quite get that instant gratification like you would with a supercharger, but it just really works. And if you're on 93 octane and you don't have to go with the bigger injectors and all that kind of stuff, the car really doesn't get bad mileage. It's really not a whole lot difference than just the normal car would make, unless you're just boosting it like crazy all the time. It's kind of hard not to. But I would highly recommend a Hellion Twin Turbo kit. I think they're absolutely wonderful. It has been unbelievably reliable. I think this thing could easily go another 40,000 miles or possibly considerably longer without any issues whatsoever. You just change the oil in the thing and just kind of keep an eye on what's going on underneath the car. You know, be careful going over speed bumps and stuff like that on the undermount kits like this one, and just go and rock it and have a good time. And that is what this thing is all about. So a huge shout out to my guys over at Hellion for putting together an amazing kit. These Turbonetics turbos, they just work. And man, twin turbo power is awesome. Just one more time. Oh, here it goes. So good. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about twin turbos in the comments down below, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, RacerX.